We have an expectation that not only in the school organisation at staff level, but also in classrooms, that opportunities for improvement are being developed in all classes. Students identify issues by placing items on the parking lot in the classroom, and that becomes the agenda for the class meeting. The students are actively engaged in improving the learning environment in their own classes, and so they take ownership for those within the class. But in the class meetings, they also identify things beyond the classroom that need improvement. We have a student council, and classes can have items referred to student council. Student council members come to our full school council every month and report on the activities of student council and their ideas for improvement. So students can initiate school-wide improvements, as they have done this year with the rubbish and the recycling, and that came from a classroom and has gone right throughout the whole school, and that's been student initiated.
We're the Rubbish Busters and we're all in grade 4. We're going to tell you a story about our journey to improve our rubbish in our school.
Our journey started when we realised that there was a huge rubbish problem. We went out onto the oval and we collected a bag of rubbish.
My students had already identified that it was a problem that they wanted to do something about. So I put it all into their hands and thought of it as a really good opportunity for learning, and for the students who are really capable in particularly their literacy to take charge and take responsibility for their own learning.
There was a lot of paper, lollies, lolly wrappers, Milo cup lids, apples, paper, and a lot of things like that.
It's been really ingrained into them through their schooling. I think that it's best to have data to back up any findings that you've got, rather than just go off half-cocked and decide what it is that you're going to do. So they were so very responsible with collecting the information that they needed.
We sorted it out and we found out that there was 39 pieces of rubbish coming from home, 29 pieces of rubbish coming from the canteen, and there was 3 pieces of compost.
The majority of the rubbish actually came from home, whereas in the past people had blamed the canteen. Some rubbish items definitely were from the canteen, but once we discovered exactly what they were, those items were banned from sale in the canteen now.
We did a plus delta on what we already are doing and what we need to improve. And one of the things was to have monitors for the compost and recycling bins. What we need to improve is to ban 5-cent lollies from the canteen. Teachers to be more enthusiastic about reducing litter, and because the compost bin was overflowing, so we had to change that to get more bins.
We went to Stewart's Environmental Park and we saw the rubbish and recycle bins and compost, and we wanted to know how it worked and if we could try it on the school.
The compost items were separated from the recycling items and all rubbish had to go home with them. That's just a policy of the park, and they thought that was a really good idea, and we trialled that within the middle unit because they were the classes that had gone to the excursion.
We gave each class a bucket and writ compost and recycling on them, and every day we would put the rubbish out.
Again, it was so successful that the students then decided that they would like to implement it to the school as a whole. And so that's when every classroom was outfitted with a compost bin and a recycling bin. The students wrote scripts so that they could go around to each class and educate each class on the use of the bins.
We made these signs to give out to each classroom to put on their bins. This is the recycling sign. This is the rubbish sign. And this is the compost sign. We made these because there still was a bit of confusion on what people could and could not put in their bins.
They themselves decided that they wanted to keep an eye on what was happening in each classroom, so they decided that they would go around and monitor it and empty the bins for the classes that wanted them emptied.
We used to fill 1.5 skips, and now I fill 1 skip, and we're very happy with that.
We made these posters to put in the front office, so when the parents walked in, they could have a look to see what they could put in their children's lunchboxes to make less rubbish.
What I found really pleasing to see is the fact that because they had the framework and they knew the process so well, that they were in fact able to take so much responsibility for their own learning. I would meet with that group once a week just to catch up, have a chat, find out what they've found out, what they need to know, and so that I could go away and support them in any way. But again, the learning was their own.
Since the rubbish buses started, we have seen a big change in the school. There has been less rubbish and people's attitude to dropping rubbish has changed.
We're changing the culture of the school from it being okay to drop rubbish to it not being okay, and that there are actually alternatives to litter.
By not dropping rubbish, the school's become a better place for everyone.